Chapter 1. The screech of brakes filled my ears and everything went dark. When I finally woke up again, Ethan Barnett's arms were wrapped tightly around my waist. He was clinging to me as his life depended on it. "Where are you going?" His groggy, deep voice jolted me back to reality. Oh right. I wasn't his sworn enemy anymore. I was his girlfriend now. Phew. Almost blew my cover. Ethan and I had been rivals at work, to put it mildly. We'd gone head-to-head on every major project. The whole office knew us as the pair always at each other's throats. It was either him or me, no middle ground. Things once got so heated that we even had a physical fight over a client. And what did that get us? A car accident on a business trip. We both woke up in the hospital with no memory of who we were. The doctors and nurses kept referring to us as your boyfriend and your girlfriend, and they wouldn't stop gushing about how cute we were together. So naturally, we assumed that we were together. I mean, come on. I'd been single for over 20 years, and now here was Ethan, handsome, sharp, and annoyingly charming. Of course, I wasn't complaining. At first, Ethan, with his usual cold and aloof demeanor, was skeptical. He kept staring at me, asking over and over, "Are you really my girlfriend?" But over time the idea grew on him. Before I knew it, he was linking his pinky with mine, calling me baby, with that smug, cocky grin. It turns out that Ethan wasn't as tough as he had wanted everyone to think. I looked down at him now, still holding on to me like I might disappear if he let go. He was shirtless and his muscles were on full display, sharp abs and those perfect V-lines that led down to his hips. Yeah, I knew exactly how good they felt. "Come on," I said, nudging him. "We've got work." But Ethan wasn't having it. He just tightened his grip around me, mumbling something under his breath. "Most girlfriends are clingy," he muttered. "But not you. You always make me chase you for a hug." With a sigh, I slid back down next to him and wrapped my arms around him. "Fine," I said, giving in. "I'll let you cuddle a little longer. But how about giving me that South City project while you're at it?" Chapter 2. The room fell silent. Ethan's eyes blinked open and he stared at me, his gaze unreadable. My heart skipped a beat. Had I just blown my cover? I was about to laugh it off and make some joke to ease the tension, but before I could, Ethan buried his face in the crook of my neck, his warm breath brushing against my skin. "Fine," he mumbled. "Whatever you want." Lucky for me, I'd gotten my memory back before Ethan did. So while he's been blissfully clueless these past few months, I've been busy. I've taken full advantage of the situation, quietly siphoning off his projects. Most of the big accounts he used to manage, they're mine now. But I'm not done yet. I've got my eyes on something bigger. I need to secure a promotion before Ethan's memory comes back and ruins everything. Ironic. The same guy who used to be my fiercest competition is now completely distracted by the fact that he thinks I'm his girlfriend. The guy who used to stay late just to beat me in performance metrics? He's gone. Now all he cares about is spending time with me. With Ethan out of the game, I've lost my main rival. And strangely, I'm starting to lose a bit of my drive too. But Ethan? He's never been happier. And if he's going to hand me everything on a silver platter, who am I to stop him? "Hey babe," I said, leaning into him. "How about throwing in the North City project too?" I'd already locked down East and West City. With North and South, I'd have the whole region. That promotion would be mine in no time. Ethan gazed at me for a long moment. My heart raced. Was this it? Had he figured me out? But then his lips curled into a lazy smile, and he reached up to pinch my cheek lightly. "Whose girlfriend is so ambitious?" he teased. "Oh right. She's mine." His eyes softened and I felt my cheeks heat up. "Fine," he said with a chuckle. "It's all yours. Whatever you want." I could feel my face flushing. Damn it. How am I supposed to feel victorious when he's giving in so easily? Chapter 3. Before long, every major project Ethan had been in charge of was now mine. All that was left for him were the small, insignificant tasks nobody cared about. It wasn't long before people in the office started to notice. One by one, they came up to me, curious but cautious. "Ruby, is Mr. Barnett in a relationship?" I quickly held up a file to hide my face, trying to stifle the grin that was threatening to break through. "Who knows?" I mumbled. "You haven't noticed? He doesn't fight you for projects anymore. And today he even offered to hand over the ones he's still working on. It's like he's stepping out of the game entirely." I gave a non-committal, really? and glanced up just in time to catch Ethan walking past my office door. His dark eyes were soft, his expression completely relaxed. And why wouldn't he be? I'd just given him a kiss after our morning meeting. Who knew a guy could melt so easily from one little kiss? Of course, people were talking. Ethan's sudden lack of ambition had even the higher-ups scratching their heads, wondering what had caused such a drastic shift. But honestly, I wasn't too concerned. After all, once I got my promotion, maybe I'd even keep him around as a little pet project. Who knows, I might even spoil him a little. I was practically counting down the days. And then the email from the board finally came. Only it wasn't what I expected. Ethan had been promoted. He was department manager now. Chapter 4. Ruby, wait up. Ethan came jogging after me, grabbing my arm and pulling me into his chest. Why are you in such a hurry? He asked, looking down at me with a puzzled expression. Why? I repeated, barely holding back a bitter laugh. Are you seriously asking me that? I had planned everything. My career and my relationship were all set. It was supposed to be perfect. But after dropping all his projects, this guy somehow managed to land a promotion just like that. Me? What about me? Ruby, it's not what you think, he said, trying to sound calm. I started walking faster, but he was right behind me, practically jogging to keep up. Finally, I stopped in my tracks, spinning around so quickly that he nearly crashed into me. We were face to face, close enough that I could feel the heat radiating off him. Before I could even say a word, his arms were around my waist and he was nuzzling into my neck like some overgrown puppy. I pushed him back, trying to stay focused. I've been handling all the key projects, so why are you the one who got promoted? I narrowed my eyes. Don't tell me you've regained your memory and decided to screw me over. He blinked, caught completely off guard. Wait, what? No, I raised an eyebrow, waiting for him to finish. He hesitated and then quickly stammered. I mean, what are you talking about? I don't even know what you mean. Suspicious. Since the accident, have you remembered anything? I asked, crossing my arms. He paused for a second and then smiled. I remember you're my girlfriend. And that doesn't seem strange to you? You don't find it odd that you suddenly have a girlfriend you don't remember? Ethan looked down at me, his gaze steady and sincere. You're beautiful, smart, and driven. You've got ambition, you stand your ground, and even when you're mad, you're still way too easy to cheer up. He gave me that signature smug grin and hooked his pinky around mine like it was the most natural thing in the world. Honestly, how could you not be my girlfriend? I tried to keep a straight face, but a laugh slipped out before I could stop it. You think I'm easy to cheer up? I asked, half amused, half exasperated. Damn it. How was I supposed to stay mad at this guy? He had always been good with words, but now he was using his charm to completely disarm me. I really should have recorded this moment. Before the accident, he used to call me a workaholic every chance he got, always complaining about how I worked late just to one-up him. No. He was a different person altogether, practically singing my praises and calling me cute. Still, the whole promotion thing was hard to let go of. I mean, objectively, I was outperforming him. I had more projects under my belt and my results were better across the board. So how did Ethan manage to leapfrog me? I couldn't just let it slide. For the next few days, I made a point of keeping my distance from him. No more flirting, no more cuddles. It was all strictly business from here. Then, just when I was starting to wonder if I'd made the right move, an email from corporate landed in my inbox. I'd been promoted. Director. Chapter 5. According to the company's hierarchy, a director and a department manager are on a pretty equal footing. But when it comes to salary and bonuses, I was definitely pulling ahead of Ethan. And I was feeling very satisfied with that. Strutting into Ethan's office, I made a big show of closing the door behind me with an exaggerated click, just loud enough for anyone nearby to hear. Mr. Barnett, I cooed, my new director's office is under renovation, so I thought I'd borrow yours for a bit. That okay? Ethan looked up from his paperwork, smirking as he caught on to my little act. Without a word, he stood up and shut the blinds, and then pulled me onto his lap in one swift move. Let the gossiping begin. They could all think I was just here to gloat about my promotion. Little did they know, Ethan had me wrapped up in his arms, kissing me so thoroughly that I was practically dizzy. Hey, I muttered against his lips, trying not to laugh. We're at work. You can't just kiss people like that. His grip tightened around my waist and he nuzzled his nose against my cheek, his voice low and rough with amusement. Well, Miss Director, you walked right into my office. What did you expect? The sunlight pouring through the blinds cast warm streaks across his face, accentuating his sharp jawline. He looked at me with a mix of tenderness and teasing. "So," he murmured, "how does it feel? You've got the best of both worlds now, career and love. Not bad, huh?" I pretended to think about it. "It's nice, but I wouldn't mind moving up to the CEO's office. I hear the view is spectacular and the salary's like $1 million a year." For a moment, Ethan just stared at me, his arms tightening slightly as if he was mulling something over. "You know," he said after a beat, "it's funny. My girlfriend's so focused on work she barely even notices her boyfriend." I raised an eyebrow, about to tease him, when there was a knock at the door. "Mr. Barnett, Miss Grant. Sorry to interrupt, but the chairman's here to see you both." Chapter 6. The chairman himself was coming. I figured it was to congratulate both Ethan and me on our promotions. We hurried to the entrance to greet him. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. It was my first time meeting the chairman in person, and trying to act cool was only making me more tense. But Ethan? He looked completely unfazed, hands casually shoved into his pockets, his eyes following me like he didn't have a care in the world. When the chairman arrived, he gave me a brief glance, but then his gaze shifted straight to Ethan. His expression grew more serious. "So, you're the new department manager, huh?" I blinked, a little thrown. "Wait, what about me? I'm the director. Shouldn't I be the one getting his attention?" The chairman studied Ethan for a moment before adding, "And here I thought you weren't cut out for management. Yet somehow you landed the job." Old me, back when Ethan and I were nothing more than rivals, would have jumped in with a sarcastic, "Right? How did he get promoted?" But now, Ethan was my boyfriend, and I wasn't about to let anyone talk down to him. Sure, we used to butt heads constantly, but we were the top performers in the company. We'd brought in millions together, fighting tooth and nail through every deal. I bit my tongue, trying to stay professional. As the chairman turned away, I reached for Ethan's hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. Ethan glanced down at our intertwined hands, clearly surprised. For a moment he just stared and then chuckled softly. I hadn't realized until recently just how much this man liked to smile. "So," the chairman said, eyeing us both carefully, "I heard about the accident. You're both fully recovered, right? No lasting brain damage, I hope?" I opened my mouth to answer, but Ethan hesitated, his brows furrowing slightly. Before he could say anything, I jumped in. "We're fine. Almost completely back to normal." The chairman didn't seem convinced. I don't know. Something about that doesn't quite add up." I had no idea what he meant by that, but I wasn't about to stick around and find out. Quickly, I invited him to come inside and relax in the lounge. But instead of acknowledging me, the chairman waved me off. "I'd like to speak with Mr. Barnett alone." My stomach dropped. Just like that, I was left standing outside. How was this possible? Ethan and I were supposed to be equals now. But what if he got his memory back? What if he realized I'd been using the situation to get ahead of him? By the time he figured it out, it would be too late. Still, an uneasy feeling crept over me. Why did the chairman only want to talk to Ethan? Was there something going on that I didn't know about? Unable to resist, I tiptoed to the door and pressed my ear against it, trying to hear what was happening inside. I caught bits and pieces of the conversation. "So what's this about?" the chairman asked, his voice low but firm. Ethan's voice followed, steady. "Dad, I want to take over as general manager. And I think Ruby should be CEO." My heart skipped a beat. There was a pause, and then the chairman's voice came back, sharper this time. "The CEO position is meant for you." Ethan didn't miss a beat. "But Ruby's going to be your daughter-in-law." The chairman's response was immediate and furious. "That's not real. Are you still pretending to have amnesia, you idiot?" And then, silence. Chapter 7. It felt like a bolt of lightning had just struck me, leaving me completely stunned. Who would have thought? Seriously, who could have seen this coming? My mind was reeling. My longtime rival, the guy I've been competing with for as long as I can remember, is actually the chairman's son? And Ethan has been faking amnesia this whole time, tricking me into playing along? This whole time I thought we couldn't stand each other. Well. Turns out this was all a game, and I was just a naive piece on his chessboard. But I wasn't about to give him the satisfaction of knowing I'd figured it out. So I played dumb, waiting for Ethan to leave the lounge. "Hey babe," he called softly as he walked over, lips curving into that easy smile. "The chairman wants to see you now." What an actor. Let's see how long you can keep this up. I walked into the room, carefully closing the door behind me. Before I could even sit down, the chairman hit me with the question. Ethan says he doesn't want the CEO position. What do you think? Finally, it was my time to shine. I let my eyes well up with tears, just the right amount, and then with perfect timing, one tear slid down my cheek. Sir, I began with a shaky voice, Ethan lost his memory after the accident. He's under the impression that I'm his girlfriend. As his colleague, I couldn't bear to tell him the truth, so I went along with it. I paused, sniffling softly for effect. I would never take advantage of him. I believe in earning things through my own hard work. Let's give it 6 months. If I can close $1 million deal by then, we can revisit this conversation. The chairman studied me for a moment and then nodded approvingly. I like your attitude. I think you've got potential. Chapter 8. As soon as the meeting ended, I was on a mission to find Ethan. Not to call him out for his little charade, but to take advantage of it. He'd been faking his memory loss this entire time, and here I was, kissing him like a fool. Now that I knew the truth, I wasn't about to let him off the hook that easily. The guy remembered everything and still had the nerve to keep up the act. He was definitely up to something. But my focus wasn't on figuring out his plans. No, I was too busy trying to milk this situation for all it was worth. After all, his family did own the company. Why shouldn't I take advantage of that? What harm was there in grabbing a few extra resources while I could? Of course, Ethan had no idea what was going on in my head. All he seemed to notice was that I'd been growing more distant lately. Later that evening, I sent him a quick message, letting him know I wouldn't be joining him for dinner. The company had arranged a formal event, and I wasn't interested in having him tag along. Ethan responded almost immediately, sounding a little hurt. What's going on with you lately? /sad emoji. I stared at the sad emoji he'd sent and felt a sudden, overwhelming urge to walk into his office and throw his phone out the window. Seriously? Is he still pretending? Fine. Play your game. I'll play mine. With that, I turned off my phone and headed to the banquet. As luck would have it, I ran into an old acquaintance, Ryan. Back in the day, I'd had a huge crush on him. No. He'd become a rising star in the industry, the kind of guy who could command a room with just his presence. To top it off, he was still exactly my type. Tall, confident, and always smiling. Ryan had this warm, easygoing charm that made him impossible to dislike. Long time no see, I said with a smile, just as my phone buzzed again in my pocket. Of course, it had to be Ethan who was checking up on me. When did he get so clingy? Ryan noticed the phone vibrating and raised an eyebrow, curious. What's wrong? Family calling. I quickly silenced the phone and waved it off. No, nothing important. Ryan smiled and handed me a glass of wine. Well then, if it's nothing serious, how about we drink to old times? No leaving until we've had our fill. I was just about to say, sounds good, when, speak of the devil, Ethan showed up. He wasn't his usual laid-back self. No, tonight he was all business, wearing a tailored black suit that seemed to amplify his presence. Gone was the goofy puppy dog look he gave me in private. Here he was the cold, untouchable Ethan everyone else knew him to be. He walked straight through the crowd, every eye in the room following him as he made a beeline for me. Stopping right in front of me, he didn't even acknowledge Ryan. Why didn't you answer my call? He asked, his voice low and serious. Chapter 9. Ethan leaned in close, his breath warm as it brushed against my ear, sending a shiver down my spine. Ryan's eyes darkened the moment he saw how familiar Ethan was with me. Is he yours? He asked, his voice laced with suspicion. Ethan didn't miss a beat. Yes, Ryan. Ruby already has a boyfriend. And that's me. I clenched my jaw, silently fuming. How the hell did he find me here? Hasn't he remembered everything by now? What's with this whole girlfriend act? I shot him a glare and tried to sidestep, but Ethan, being Ethan, just leaned in closer. He looked at me, all puppy dog eyes, like he was the one who had been wronged. Why are you avoiding me? Is it because you wanted to see your first love tonight? I'm not one to hold back, so I snapped at him. Cut it out, Ethan. Do you really think this is funny? Messing with me like this? For a moment, my words seemed to land. He pulled back just slightly, his expression shifting to something more serious. What are you talking about? His voice was softer now, a bit cautious. He reached for my hand, holding it as if he was afraid I'd slip away. Ruby, do you know something? I met his gaze, my patience long gone. Let's stop pretending, alright? This whole thing between us has been fake from the start. You've got your memory back, so why are you still playing this game? Unless, could it be that he actually likes me? For a split second, my mind flashed back to what he'd said in front of the chairman. Was that real? Could he have meant it? But then again, how could someone who supposedly likes me spend so much time competing with me, constantly finding ways to make my life harder? He never missed a chance to mock me or make things difficult. There's no way he could actually like me. Before he could answer, I fired off another question. I was too angry to hold back. You thought it was fun, didn't you? Pretending to lose your memory and making me think we were a couple? You enjoyed keeping me in the dark, right? Was it all just a joke to you? The more I thought about it, the more frustrated I got. Sure, I'd been playing along with the whole girlfriend thing too, but that's different. I'm allowed to have double standards. I just can't stand being the one who's been played. I looked away from him, my heart pounding in my chest. For some reason, I felt a twinge of guilt, though I didn't know why. Ethan, I muttered, my voice softening, it's time to end this. Just stop. Chapter 10. Ethan didn't follow me. He probably realized I'd figured everything out and didn't have the courage to keep up the act. I'd had a bit too much to drink, and as I wandered along the beach, the cold wind nipped at my skin. My head felt fuzzy, but my heart was heavy. After suddenly cutting things off with Ethan, I couldn't shake this strange emptiness inside me, like something important was missing. The wind made me shiver, and for some reason I found myself thinking about how not too long ago, I'd be in Ethan's arms right now, warming up while nibbling on the snacks he always made for me. He'd cook all my favorite things, following recipes to perfection. Thinking back, I couldn't believe I hadn't figured it out sooner. How could someone who knew me so well possibly have lost his memory? It was his fault, really. He'd always been so unpredictable. It was impossible to pin him down, impossible to see through him. Frustration welled up in my chest, and before I knew it, I was dialing his number. 3 minutes later, Ethan was standing in front of me. So he'd been nearby this whole time, watching me, waiting. Ethan, I said, trying to keep my voice steady, I need you to answer 3 questions. He stood there, eyes locked on mine, and nodded. Go ahead. After the accident, did you really lose your memory? Ethan nodded, raising his hand and gesturing slightly. A little. I forgot some things. I couldn't help but scoff. How long did it take before you remembered everything? 2 weeks. So Ethan was brainwashed unknowingly. He was a victim to this whole mess. Our fake relationship had started with one big misunderstanding. But if that's true, I pressed, why did you keep pretending? You could have pushed me away when you remembered. Ethan shook his head, his gaze softening. His eyes found mine, and I could see the sincerity there. At first, I didn't get it, he said quietly, his voice serious. But when I got my memory back and saw you in my arms, I didn't want to let go. God, he was good at this. Every word he said hit me right where it hurt. He always knew exactly what to say to make my heart race, even when I didn't want it to. Who would have thought we'd end up here after everything? After all the years we spent fighting like enemies. And now to think he's the chairman's son. But you got your memory back and didn't tell me, I said, my voice trembling. Were you just laughing at me this whole time? Did you think it was funny watching me fall for your lies? Ethan shook his head. No, I never thought that. Tears welled up in my eyes before I could stop them. I feel so stupid. I can't even look at you right now. I need time. I need space. I jabbed him in the chest with my finger, not sure if I was mad at him or myself. Ethan, we need to take a break. Let's spend some time apart. His eyes widened in shock. How long? I don't know, I said, shrugging, looking away. Then, let's not take a break. Let's just make up. Absolutely not, I shot back, crossing my arms over my chest. It's way too embarrassing. I have to punish you for this. Ethan softened his voice, almost coaxing me. How about we just keep it light? 3 days, nothing too serious. We don't have to really be apart, right? Chapter 11. Maybe there was a stubborn thorn in my heart. Even drunk, I refused to confirm our relationship. Ethan had no choice, staring at my office during work hours, not daring to approach. I was busy with projects, ignoring him. So the company had a heartbroken puppy. Ethan even stopped eating in the cafeteria, nibbling on a rice ball at his desk, watching me eat. I asked why he wasn't eating. He said, no appetite. Why no appetite? Are you sick? Yes, my girlfriend dumped me. Ryan had been very proactive lately, offering me $1 million project. With that project, becoming CEO was within reach. So I got closer to Ryan, who offered to pick me up after work. I knew his intentions but felt awkward refusing. After all, he had $1 million project. We went to dinner under the guise of business at a restaurant Ryan chose, showing off. Ryan parked his expensive car in the middle of the road, its sleek body reflecting blinding light. He took out a necklace. We haven't seen each other in a while, so I bought this at Christie's for you. I'm just an ordinary worker. But someone gave me a necklace from Christie's. I waved it off. It's too expensive. I bought the most expensive thing to make you remember me. I was stunned. Ryan was my first crush. We were top students and I sought his help for a scholarship. We grew close and rumors spread. I liked his gentleness, but he was preparing for graduate school. He rejected me. So I didn't bother him, ending my feelings. My first love ended there. Now, facing Ryan's advances, I felt conflicted. Like something was slipping away. Then I saw Ethan sitting across from us. Chapter 12. Ethan appeared calm, but his eyes betrayed his resentment. Under my gaze, he walked over. Holding a bottle of wine, he greeted us. What a coincidence. Discussing business. He sat beside me, his arm around my back, loosely holding my shoulder. After I glared at him, he let go. Our director Ruby is very dedicated, socializing with clients after work. Seems like she needs my help. I frowned, warning him softly, don't cause trouble. Ethan pouted but didn't stop. He moved closer. All right, I have business with Ryan. Can you? Ethan interrupted. No. I knew why he was acting this way but couldn't confront him here. Ethan. I pinched his arm, hoping he'd give me face so I could secure the $1 million order. But he was unreasonable when jealous. Mr. Ryan, how much for the necklace? I'll pay for Ruby. He took out a black card. I quickly stood up to stop him. This is between me and Mr. Ryan. Ethan grabbed my hand, his dark eyes unreadable. But Ryan understood. Mr. Ethan, there's no need to cling to an unclear relationship. Ruby and I know each other well, while you can't even be honest. We were both stunned by his bluntness. But it was undeniable. This was the reality. Ethan and I hadn't been honest, and our relationship started in confusion, filled with suspicion. But who could say who was right or wrong? After all, I had taken advantage of his amnesia to steal his resources. So we weren't really dating. But once you play the role, even if it's not heartfelt, it's hard to disentangle. I admit Ethan had found a place in my heart. Chapter 3. Ryan's project was put on hold. Though he was interested in working with me, he hinted at a relationship as a prerequisite. I'm straightforward and sincere, and I don't like mixing business with personal matters. So I declined. Giving up $1 million project was tough, but I could handle it. Fortunately, a week later, a new client approached me, specifically requesting me for their project. This client had hidden their capital but chose me after seeing my efficient work. A big project fell into my lap, making me dream of success. Ethan, seeing me busy with new business, didn't dare disturb me. He still messaged me after work. Coming home? I'll cook for you. I did miss his cooking. With no social engagements, I had no reason to refuse. So after work, Ethan waited at my office door, trying to hold my hand. Under my gaze, he reluctantly pulled back. Home-cooked meal or dining out? Either is fine. I heard a new restaurant open nearby. Want to try it? Ethan was trying to please me. I wasn't used to this change, preferring our old rivalry. You don't have to do this. What else can I do? You ignore me, so I have to come to you. Ethan tentatively held my hand, and when I didn't pull away, he fully grasped it. His mood visibly improved. I moved my hand, but he held tighter. During our Cold War, you still don't want to be apart? Yes, not at all. I couldn't help but laugh, but he kissed me the next second. Fireworks exploded overhead, their colors reflecting on his face, making his features even more striking. I admit, this man could charm me 100 times over. Ethan rubbed my earlobe. Ruby, I'm anxious and worried you'll leave again, so I want to ask you, will you be my girlfriend again? Chapter 14. News of my $1 million order spread quickly. I had achieved the company's annual target early, and rumors said I would be next year's China CEO. The department prepared a cake to celebrate. But Ethan locked himself in his office, not coming out. Holding my small cake, I pouted at his door, thinking how petty he was. I accidentally rejected him last night. Today Ethan sulked, not speaking or meeting me. Now colleagues said Ethan had lost power and I would soon surpass him. Ethan must have heard and slammed his door loudly. After work he finally came out. He caught me heading to the restroom, pinning me against the wall. "Ruby, you tricked me in my heart," then casually said you'd think about it and dumped me. His eyes were red, showing how long he'd held back. I stared at him, gently touching his reddened eyes. "What are you talking about?" "I didn't dump you," Ethan whispered. "You said you'd think about it, which means you're brushing me off." "I didn't mean that." "How could you think that?" "I just hadn't figured out our relationship. So I focused on work, planning to sort things out later. But Ethan thought I didn't want him." Ethan buried his head in my chest pitifully. "Don't leave me, okay? I'll give you anything you want." I patted his head. All right. If I sign another contract this month, I'll be with you." Chapter 15. At the end of the month, I was officially promoted to CEO. Ethan kept his position. I finally succeeded. But my archenemy Ethan, heartbroken, had been slacking off, causing his performance to drop. Soon the chairman returned. This time he announced my promotion. The chairman called me for a private talk, but he started by pleading. "Ethan has always had many admirers, but he never focused on romance, except with you. After the accident, he forgot even me but remembered your name. When he heard people say you were his girlfriend, you don't know how happy he was, bragging about his beautiful girlfriend." I admitted, if I hadn't secured the $1 million order and revealed I was Ethan's girlfriend, I'd face criticism. Now who would dare criticize me? The chairman nodded, impressed. "No wonder Ethan chose you." Ethan had been waiting for me, his eyes bright. "Ruby, can we have dinner tonight?" I smiled. "As what?" "Pie girlfriend, okay?" Chapter 16. We confirmed our relationship, but I was busy with projects, so we dated while working. Ethan held my hand, swinging it occasionally. "If it's hard, I can help." I didn't refuse, quickly sending him my spreadsheets. "Why didn't you say so?" "I'm exhausted." Ethan ruffled my hair. "You took 5 projects from me. How can you handle them alone?" "Because you always opposed me." He hugged me. "My fault." "Let's work overtime together?" "What?" "We just reconciled." "Don't want to." "I do." Ethan's identity remained secret, but colleagues noticed our improved relationship and encouraged us. "Ruby, you're CEO now. Ethan used to oppose you. Want to take him down?" I laughed inwardly, keeping a straight face. "How?" "Trick him, play with his feelings, then dump him." After they left, Ethan peeked from under my desk. "What's with them? Always urging you to play me. Do they want to see me suffer?" I scratched his chin. "You used to act superior, so they want to see you fall." Ethan teased. "So I'm fulfilling their wishes?" "Exactly." Humph. Chapter 17. We officially announced our relationship and colleagues celebrated. The administration made it grand, secretly congratulating me for conquering my old rival. Ethan held my hand, smiling widely. A colleague asked, "Ethan, when did you start liking Ruby?" "A long time ago." I leaned in. "When?" "I should know, right?" He whispered in my ear, "I'll tell you on our wedding day." Ethan never revealed his identity but proudly called himself CEO's boyfriend. He bragged to everyone, making up for the secrecy before. When not showing off, he clung to me, doing projects while I took credit, exchanging kisses for work hours. Once time was up, he'd demand more kisses. Whose boyfriend was this clingy? After a kiss he said, "Ruby, being your man makes me proud." Chapter 21. Ethan's POV. Ethan hid his identity after graduating, focusing on work. Despite many admirers, he never considered dating. The pressure of performance targets left no room for distraction. Until a girl in his team appeared. She worked tirelessly on proposals, solving tough problems alone. Ethan watched her, learning her name was Ruby, who single-handedly completed the department's annual targets. Among many employees, only she could achieve this. Jealous colleagues sabotaged her, stealing credit and making her a scapegoat. At first, Ruby didn't mind. But the day before her promotion, her boss took her credit, leaving her crying in the hallway. Ruby was just a recent graduate, unaware of dealing with cunning seniors. Ethan felt deeply for her. He watched her, unknowingly falling for her, wishing to stand by her side one day. Everyone thought Ethan disliked her. But it was a way to protect her. If she stood out alone, she'd be a target, But as her rival, he diverted attention. People's jealousy shifted to him, letting Ruby focus on her goals. She was talented, quickly rising and ousting her boss within months. Ethan silently celebrated, knowing only he understood this joy. The accident caused little harm, letting him drop his facade and care for her wholeheartedly. Who wants to oppose the girl they like? Ethan often thought. It must be fate ensuring they didn't miss each other.